Christine Mackenzie, a seasoned skydiver from South Africa, was on her 112th jump and felt invincible at that point. After all, what could possibly go wrong after doing it so many times before? As she descended, she attempted to deploy her parachute as she had done on her previous 111 jumps. However, the parachute didn't open. She then tried to deploy her reserve parachute, but it also failed to open. She was free-falling from 2,000 feet and could only see the approaching power lines. Surprisingly, the power lines cushioned her fall without electrocuting her. Her friends found her on the ground in shock, cracking jokes and complaining of sore bones. In 1999, Begenholm was on a skiing trip with friends on a trail near Narvik, Norway. While maneuvering around an almost frozen waterfall, she fell headfirst into a hole in the ice and became trapped with only her feet sticking out of the water. Her friends called for rescue, but by the time she was pulled out of the water, 80 minutes had passed. Her heart had stopped beating, and her body temperature had dropped to the lowest ever recorded. The rescue team worked to warm her blood until her pulse returned and her body temperature returned to normal. The plan was successful, and she survived. Over 100 doctors and nurses helped bring Begenholm back to life. She likely survived one of the worst cases of hypothermia on record and officially broke the record for the lowest human body temperature ever recorded. Alvarenga was fishing with Ezequiel Cordoba when a big storm hit. Most of their fishing gear was lost in the storm, leaving Alvarenga and Cordoba with only a handful of basic supplies and little food. Alvarenga managed to catch fish, turtles, jellyfish, and seabirds with his bare hands and occasionally salvaged floating food and plastic debris. They collected rainwater to drink when possible, but more often had to resort to drinking turtle blood or their own urine. Eventually, Cordoba lost hope and refused to eat, eventually dying of starvation. Alvarenga himself had considered suicide, but his strong religious beliefs prevented him from doing so. He abandoned his boat and swam to shore on January 30, 2014, stumbling upon a beach house owned by a local couple. Alvarenga's journey lasted 438 days. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was a naval engineer who was stationed in Hiroshima. On the day he was going to work, he saw an object falling from the sky attached to a parachute. First, the entire sky turned bright white, and then pitch black. Shortly after, a flood of water lifted some houses and vehicles into the air, the earth shook, sound ceased, and then a burning sensation emerged. His eardrums were torn, both of his hands and most of his face were burnt, but he survived. That night, he took a train to his hometown of Nagasaki. In the hospital, he had bandages put on. When he told his boss what had happened, the sky turned the same way again, and the burning sensation returned. His upper body was torn to pieces. He had managed to survive being exposed to the atomic bomb twice in 3 days. In 2008, Travis Barker, the drummer for Blink-182, and his friends were on a plane. When the plane crashed and caught on fire, Travis and his closest friend Adam Goldstein tried to rescue others from the flames. However, only the two of them survived. Travis underwent extensive burn treatment for a long time. Adam's suicide after the accident further exacerbated Travis's trauma. However, he eventually focused on his work and was able to recover. On January 26, 1972, 22-year-old Vesna Vilovic, a flight attendant in Yugoslavia, was on her way to Denmark. At 33,300 feet, a terrorist bomb exploded, breaking the plane apart. When a World War II doctor arrived at the wreckage, he saw 27 horribly mutilated bodies. He looked around and saw a woman still alive. Her skull was broken, 3 vertebrae were crushed, and both legs were broken. Vesna was taken to the hospital. 3 days later, she woke up from a coma and asked her parents, who were keeping vigil, for a cigarette. She remembered nothing. After a month, she regained her lost memory. She was also able to use her legs again. She was completely healed 21 months later.